Welcome back everyone. No point explaining much before we begin. However, for newcomers, this is part 3 of the Vader series I'm covering. So go check out the latest 2 videos before you watch this one. Also, for those who are up to date, I know in the last video I said today's will be about Vader fighting all the prisoners, but there's still 2 more issues to be covered after this. I was originally going to skip this one, but there's a lot of backstory about the prison that the Jedi kept secret, and it'll just build the story more for the last 2 issues, if you guys wanted me to continue, that is. Enough talk, let's begin. As Vader, Tom, and Tracta speed through the galaxy towards the Diab system, the long journey took 3 days. In this time, we start our journey with Tom reaching out to summon his blaster from the wall when Tracta walks in on him, telling him it'd be very unfortunate if Vader were to discover he was force sensitive. This is most likely due to Vader feeling uneasy about his developing powers, or seeing him as a potential threat. More about that will come later. The issue actually has a cool backstory on Tracta and how he became a cyborg, which I'll leave for another video as it just goes too in depth and off topic. As the scene changes to Gentis, we finally see him where he is in communication with Tarkin, being questioned by the Grand Moff regarding the terrorist attack. Playing it off like he's deeply hurt by the attacks and will do everything he can to find out who did it, Tarkin senses something strange about the situation and continues to question Gentis. Asking where the Emperor is, Gentis explains how Sidious is in critical condition and is being held in a private medical station being treated by his own staff in his supervision. "And Vader?" asks Tarkin, telling him the Dark Lord had vanished after the attacks with Tracta, neither having resurfaced. Again, Tarkin, being the sharp man he is, subtly tells Gentis he doesn't believe him, and would very much like to hear Lord Vader's story of events. This is where I thought it got pretty cool. Tarkin orders Gentis to continue his search, and that he'll assume command immediately once he arrives, and tells him he belongs at the academy, preparing cadets to replace lost officers. Gentis wasn't happy to hear this, but faked his compliance until the broadcast ended. As the story progresses, cutting out some of the unimportant things, they reach the planet that holds the Prism, which is just simply the name of the secret prison. As they examine Sidious aboard the ship, noting his failing vitals, Vader assures them the infirmary in the prison is of the highest quality, and the Jedi would never allow their prisoners anything less. As Tom enters, he tells them he's finally found it: the Prism. The prison itself had been created during the Second Schism and was 100% self-sustaining, run by all droids and one Jedi Master, Skyne. The place had been designed to be so hidden and unknown that no transmission could be sent in or out, meaning the Jedi that was in command at the prison had no idea Order 66 had ever happened. As Vader walks out to meet the Jedi Warden, she jokingly tells him she was beginning to think the Council forgot about her, when Vader ignites his red lightsaber through her stomach, telling her they have. As they enter the facility, Vader destroyed all the droids with ease, hooking up the Emperor to the new medical bed. Tracta informs him stabilization has been successful. However, he fails to be improving. Crossing his arms, Vader reassures him that Sidious is more powerful than he'll ever know, and to just give him time to heal. While they waited for the virus to run its course, Vader and Tom looked at more of the Jedi holograms from the prison, telling Vader that 208 prisoners were kept here. As a familiar image appeared, Tom turned to Vader and exclaimed that according to these records, a Jedi named Anakin Skywalker arrested more than half of the prison. Vader acknowledges Anakin, explaining how he was one of the Order's most skilled generals, as Tom asks what had happened to Skywalker. Vader says coldly,
"I killed him."
Obviously striking a nerve, he turns on his heel as his cape sways behind him, telling them to download all the records, then swipe them clean from the system. As we see Gentis once again for the last time in this issue, where he stands with his fellow commanders who betrayed the Empire, explaining to them how he came across the Imperial crematorium one day, which was what started his rebellion in the first place against Sidious, telling them that Palpatine's ways would only lead to death of all the men in the Empire. Of course, this was just half true, as his real motive was to become Emperor himself. As Tom and Tracta locate a cell in Sector 3 on level 27, Tracta orders him to open the door and to stand back, as he enters the room and literally spends hours just beating this prisoner to a pulp. Who he is, I'll explain in another video. However, he was a fallen Jedi and one of Dooku's men. This is something we won't see anymore in Disney Comics, unfortunately. The level of grit and brutality that came with the Dark Horse comics from George's team was beyond epic and frankly just true to the stories and their characters. The final page comes to a cinematic shot of Vader looking out at the planet and moons below, deep in his thoughts, most likely still thinking about his previous life and Padme. As he's interrupted by Tom, who walks in, Vader turns as the lieutenant says he knows of a way to raise an army to take back to Coruscant and fight Gentis. Intrigued, Vader steps forward as Tom looks at him with a sinister smile.
Requesting permission to release the prisoners.
The next two issues are the most climactic, where we see Vader fight the old prisoners of war, the fate of Palpatine, and of course, the war between Gentis and Vader's army. If you guys want that story covered, let me know once again in the comments or by hitting like. I'll have parts 1 and 2 pop up at the end of this video in case you're a newcomer and are kinda confused. Let me know what you thought. Do you think Vader will accept Tom's request, or will he just fight and kill all the prisoners that Anakin collected? I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you all again in tomorrow's episode of Star Wars Theory. Until then, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, thanks so much for watching, and remember,
The Force will be with you always.